July 15th, 2025. A seemingly ordinary day in the nation's capital. The nation's capital sweltered under summer humidity, the kind of heat that sticks to you, making every breath feel heavy. Tourists and locals alike sought refuge in the shade, trying to escape the oppressive conditions. But the oppressive heat was only a prelude until the sky turned a bruised purple, a clear sign of the dramatic shift about to occur. In moments, a violent torrent of rain hammered the city, unleashing its full force with a sudden and unexpected intensity. The downpour was relentless, showing no signs of easing, overwhelming infrastructure. The city's drainage systems, designed for normal rainfall, were instantly pushed beyond their capacity, and catching thousands off guard. People who had been enjoying a sunny afternoon were now scrambling for cover, completely unprepared for the deluge. Lightning split the sky, illuminating the chaos below with each blinding flash. Thunder shook the city, its deafening roar echoing between buildings, adding to the sense of panic and urgency, and streets became rivers within minutes. The water level rose rapidly, transforming familiar roads into treacherous waterways. Gutters and storm drains failed instantly. Unable to cope with the sheer volume of water, they overflowed, contributing to the rising flood. Drivers and pedestrians scrambled for safety. Abandoning their vehicles and seeking higher ground, their only thought was self-preservation. The storm's suddenness was its greatest danger, catching everyone off guard and leaving little time to react. No time to prepare, no time to escape. The speed of the storm's arrival left residents vulnerable and exposed. What began as a routine afternoon with clear skies and the promise of a pleasant summer day became chaos. A scene of utter disarray and confusion as the storm raged. Sirens blared, cutting through the downpour, signaling the unfolding emergency. Cars stalled in rising water, their engines sputtering and dying as the floodwaters crept higher, and people sought shelter wherever they could, huddling under awnings, in doorways, anywhere to escape the relentless rain. The city's sounds vanished beneath the roar of rain and emergency vehicles. The usual hum of urban life was replaced by the overwhelming sounds of the storm. This was not a forecasted inconvenience, a passing shower that could be easily ignored, but a full-blown weather emergency, a situation demanding immediate attention and response. Meteorologists had warned of storms, indicating the possibility of severe weather, but nothing of this magnitude or speed. The intensity and rapid development of the storm caught everyone by surprise. The system seemed to materialize overhead as if from nowhere, gathering strength with alarming speed, unleashing its fury at the worst possible time, during the peak of the afternoon commute, when the city was most vulnerable. In minutes, a calm day became a crisis, a stark contrast that highlighted the storm's devastating impact, a textbook flash flood event, a rapid and intense surge of water that overwhelmed the city's infrastructure. The city's vulnerability was laid bare, its infrastructure unable to withstand the force of the sudden deluge. Nature's power, unstoppable and swift, a reminder of the raw and untamed forces that can be unleashed upon even the most modern cities. The storm's rapid escalation defined its peril, leaving little room for response or adaptation, especially for a city on the move. The suddenness of the event amplified the danger for commuters and travelers. Flash floods like this are rare, making the event all the more shocking and unexpected. But when they strike, they leave no room for error, demanding immediate action and highlighting the importance of preparedness. For DC, this was a day that would not be forgotten, a day etched in the city's memory as a reminder of nature's power. The city was under siege, battling against the elements in a desperate fight for survival, and the battle had just begun. The immediate crisis was only the first phase of a long and arduous recovery. The storm, a furious tempest of wind and rain, struck at the worst possible moment, catching the city completely off guard. It was as if nature itself had decided to unleash its full fury upon the unsuspecting populace. Rush hour. The clock ticked past 4, and the city's arteries began to swell. By 4 o'clock, thousands upon thousands were already on the roads, a river of steel and glass flowing towards the suburbs. Heading home, eager to escape the workday, as the rain intensified, growing heavier with each passing minute. The sky darkened, and the world outside became a blurry canvas of gray. Highways became canals. The asphalt rivers transformed into raging waterways. Traffic ground to a complete and utter halt, a sea of brake lights stretching as far as the eye could see, and the water rose relentlessly over curbs, swallowing sidewalks and turning intersections into lakes. This wasn't a typical jam, the kind that commuters begrudgingly accept as part of their daily lives. It was a complete and utter shutdown, a paralysis that gripped the entire transportation network. Cars stranded, engines sputtering and dying, drivers trapped, their hopes of a quick journey home dashed against the rising tide. Major arteries, lifelines of the region, like the Capital Beltway, normally bustling with activity, and I-66, notorious for its rush-hour congestion, became vast open-air parking lots, filled with silent, stranded vehicles. With some unlucky souls stuck for hours, their patience wearing thin as the water continued to rise around them. Public transit faltered, struggling to cope with the unprecedented conditions. Metrobus routes detoured, weaving through flooded streets in a desperate attempt to maintain service. Rail stations flooded, platforms submerged beneath inches of water. The region's mobility collapsed entirely, grinding to a standstill under the relentless assault of the storm, leaving commuters anxious, frustrated, and utterly helpless, stranded in their vehicles with no clear escape in sight. Darkness descended, adding another layer of fear and uncertainty to the already dire situation. Blinding rain lashed against windshields, reducing visibility to near zero and making driving conditions treacherous. And rising water, creeping higher and higher, forced many to make the difficult decision to abandon their vehicles, their only means of shelter and escape, or risk being swept away by the powerful currents, their cars becoming nothing more than floating coffins. Emergency services were completely overwhelmed, stretched to their breaking point by the sheer scale of the disaster, with calls flooding in from stranded motorists, desperate for rescue and reassurance. The storm's timing, coinciding perfectly with the peak of rush hour, magnified its impact exponentially, turning what should have been a daily routine, a mundane commute home, into a widespread emergency, a chaotic scene of stranded vehicles and desperate individuals. Urban infrastructure, designed to withstand the elements, proved fragile and inadequate in the face of such a deluge. Against nature's raw and untamed force, a stark reminder of the power of the natural world. The city's predictable migration, the daily ebb and flow of commuters heading home, became a desperate fight for survival, a struggle against the rising waters and the encroaching darkness. For many, the simple commute home, a journey taken for granted on countless evenings, became a terrifying memory of fear, uncertainty, and the overwhelming power of nature. The storm exposed just how quickly life can change, how easily a normal day can transform into a harrowing ordeal. The storm's reach extended far beyond DC, its tendrils of wind and rain snaking outwards, impacting communities far and wide. The initial forecasts hinted at severity, but the reality unfolding was proving to be even more dramatic and widespread than anticipated. Engulfing Maryland and Virginia in chaos, the storm system brought with it not only torrential downpours, but also the looming threat of severe weather phenomena. Residents braced themselves as the skies darkened, and the first reports of damage began to trickle in. Montgomery County, Maryland, saw flash floods erupt with startling speed, turning familiar streets into raging rivers. The intensity of the rainfall overwhelmed drainage systems, leaving many caught off guard. In Bethesda and Silver Spring, the deluge transformed roadways into waterways, stranding vehicles and threatening homes. The rapid rise of the water caught many residents by surprise. Roads vanished underwater, becoming indistinguishable from the overflowing creeks and rivers. Navigation became impossible, and the risk of hydroplaning was ever present. In Anne Arundel County, a tornado warning added new urgency to the already dire situation, forcing residents to seek immediate shelter. The threat of a twister amplified the fear and anxiety gripping the region. As radar showed rotation, the possibility of a tornado touching down became frighteningly real. Emergency alerts blared, urging people to take cover. Northern Virginia's Arlington and Fairfax counties felt the full force of the storm, experiencing widespread flooding and property damage. The impact was felt across residential and commercial areas alike. Faced impassable streets, commuters found themselves stranded and daily routines ground to a halt. The transportation network buckled under the weight of the storm, and water rescues became commonplace as first responders worked tirelessly to reach those trapped by the rising floodwaters. The bravery and dedication of these individuals shone brightly amidst the chaos. The storm's slow crawl meant relentless rain, a seemingly unending deluge that pushed the region to its breaking point. The ground became saturated, and the risk of landslides increased. Saturating ground and overwhelming creeks, turning them into raging torrents that spilled over their banks. The landscape was transformed by the sheer volume of water. Traffic gridlock rippled across the region, snarling roadways and creating a logistical nightmare for emergency services. The ability to move people and resources was severely hampered, connecting the crisis across state lines, highlighting the interconnectedness of the region and the need for a coordinated response. The storm did not respect political boundaries. Emergency responders scrambled to coordinate efforts, facing immense challenges in communicating and deploying resources effectively. The sheer scale of the disaster tested their capabilities. Across D.C., Maryland, and Virginia, agencies worked together to provide aid and support to those affected. The spirit of collaboration was essential in navigating the crisis. The storm ignored borders, a stark reminder that natural disasters recognize no political boundaries. Its impact was felt equally across state lines, blanketing millions in simultaneous danger, creating a sense of shared vulnerability and the need for collective action. The storm's reach was vast and indiscriminate. From tornado threats to urban flooding, the region faced a barrage of severe weather hazards, each compounding the challenges of the others. The situation was complex and rapidly evolving. The event demanded a unified response, requiring seamless coordination between local, state, and federal agencies. A cohesive strategy was paramount. No community was spared. The storm's impact was felt far and wide, leaving few untouched by its destructive force. The damage was extensive and varied. The crisis was shared, fostering a sense of solidarity and prompting neighbors to help neighbors in need. The resilience of the community shone through. The scale of the emergency tested every agency's limits, pushing resources and personnel to their absolute maximum. The strain on the system was palpable. This was a regional disaster, not just a local one, requiring a comprehensive and coordinated approach to recovery. The impact extended far beyond individual communities. The storm's path was a seamless web of chaos, a testament to its widespread impact and the interconnectedness of the affected areas. The road to recovery would be long and challenging. The chaos was driven by sheer rainfall over 2 inches in just an hour across the metro area. Urban surfaces turned the deluge into instant runoff drains stood no chance. Some neighborhoods saw over 3 inches as storms trained over the same spots. Streets became rivers, parks became lakes, and infrastructure buckled. Meteorologists called it a textbook flash flood setup, slow-moving, relentless, and overwhelming. The data confirmed what everyone saw: historic rain in a compressed window. Even as the heaviest band moved east, the threat lingered. The atmosphere stayed unstable, promising more storms overnight. Flooded areas saw little relief. New rain threatened to worsen the crisis. The region braced for a prolonged period of hydrological stress. The initial deluge was only the beginning. The National Weather Service issued a flash flood warning with a considerable damage tag, a rare, urgent alert. This wasn't routine. It signaled imminent danger to life and property. The warning meant water could enter homes, roads would close, and rescues would be needed. It was a call to action: move to higher ground, avoid all travel. The language was chosen carefully, reflecting real-time reports of rising water and emergencies. Radar, rainfall, and eyewitness accounts all pointed to a severe event. The considerable tag cut through confusion. This was a dangerous flood. Residents needed to act immediately. Lives depended on it. The warning validated the fear and chaos on the streets. It was a tool to save lives, not just a technicality. D.C.'s transportation network was brought to its knees. Arlington Boulevard in Virginia became a symbol of the chaos: submerged, cars stranded, a vital corridor severed. Goldsboro Road in Bethesda and the Dulles Toll Road faced similar fates, trapping vehicles and closing access to the airport. In the district, water rushed down hills, pooling in low spots and flooding neighborhoods. Rock Creek Parkway, always flood-prone, was closed and soon underwater. Road closures created a maze of frustration. GPS apps couldn't keep up. Drivers found themselves trapped, gridlock spreading citywide. News helicopters showed cars floating, rescue boats navigating city streets. The roads, built for cars, became rivers. The paralysis was total. Hundreds of thousands stranded, the capital at a standstill. The storm revealed how quickly modern infrastructure can fail. For hours, the city was immobilized by water. The images were unforgettable. The storm's story was told through those who lived it. A wtop reporter, stranded on Arlington Boulevard, described water rising to car windows and people wading to safety. social media filled with photos and videos, flooded basements, submerged streets, raging creeks. "I've never seen difficult run this high," one Fairfax resident posted. The National Weather Service provided constant updates, calling it a classic flash flood event. Meteorologists urged everyone to stay off roads and heed emergency advice. Emergency responders described being stretched thin, prioritizing life-threatening calls. "Turn around, don't drown," they pleaded. Water rescues became routine as the crisis deepened. The human stories, fear, resilience, and quick decisions brought the data to life. The storm's impact was personal, immediate, and widespread. Public safety services faced immense pressure. The voices of the city captured the true scale of the disaster. As storms shifted east, a brief respite came, but the threat remained. The ground was saturated, rivers swollen, and new rain could trigger more flooding instantly. Flood watches were issued for southern Maryland. Warnings lingered for rivers and low-lying areas. The danger persisted even after the rain-stopped water kept moving through the watershed. Residents were urged to monitor water levels overnight and stay alert. The forecast called for more scattered storms, any of which could worsen conditions. The focus shifted from widespread crisis to localized threats. Officials stressed continued caution. The immediate emergency had passed, but risk remained. The region was not yet in the clear. Vigilance was essential as the weather pattern stayed volatile. The message: stay prepared, stay safe. In the storm's wake, caution was the watchword. Emergency crews continued rescues and damage assessments as waters receded. Police managed gridlock, reopening roads and clearing abandoned cars. Residents were reminded, turn around, don't drown. Floodwaters hide unseen dangers. Even shallow water can be deadly. Flooded basements pose electrical and structural risks. Staying informed and having multiple alert sources was critical. The storm underscored the need for emergency plans and readiness. Quick preparation is key. Storms like this leave little warning. As recovery began, the memory of the day lingered, the capital brought to its knees by water. The focus shifted to rebuilding and resilience. Residents were urged to follow official guidance and report damage. With more storms possible, weather awareness remained vital.